Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so we did end up rejecting 566.53, guys. That's right at the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level. We did get the dead cat bounce, and today we kind of confirmed that it was a dead cat bounce. The cat was in fact dead. It drowned. Something tragic happened to it because now it's coming back down and it's falling flat on its face. All right. I'm just going to say everything looks pretty heavy as of right now. We knew the most probable scenario coming into the week, mentioned in the weekly update 2 videos ago, was going to be we start the week off with that dead cat bounce. We get the bounce, and then the bounce gets sold down to new lows into end of week. That is still the most probable scenario here. If we do not make new lows this week, they could very well come next week because we did get quite a big gap up to start off the week. So, we could also just kind of trade flat. We're probably going to still continue lower tomorrow, but we might not take out last week's low this week, and we might save that for next week, and it'll go something like this. Okay, we would print a nice fat topping tail on the weekly candle here, and then we probably go lower to start the week off. Now, everybody's going to get really bearish down here, okay? But I'm telling you, we've been calling this pretty darn stinking well here. And yeah, all right, guys, we probably are still going to find buyers around all-time highs. I don't think it's going to be this, even a multi-week sell, okay? This is now going to be the second week. We'll have the third week. But, after that, no, we're probably not going to get much more, guys. This, at the end of the day, is going to be just one of these corrections. And, even on the nastiest sells over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? We have 1, we'll have 2, we'll have 3. Maybe we get a 4th, but, in reality, we're still probably just going to come down, tap previous all-time highs, and then get bought up, okay? Now, let's go over the short-term price action. On the upside, guys, you're not getting bullish until it takes out 566.53. You're just not. Okay, if you do get back up above 566.53, it's likely not going to be a bull trap, and you are likely going to then take out the 0.618 at 569.75, and then 572.11 and 574.63 all-time highs is going to be broken. All right, and that's if you take out right around today's high, guys. We rejected right off the open today, right at that 566.53 level mentioned in yesterday's video that aligned with the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level, okay? People want to, call me a perma bull. They want to say I flip-flop all the time. They want to say I'm a perma bear sometimes as well. They want to say that, hey, all right, oh, you called for upside yesterday, even though you were calling for downside the previous day. Guys, we cover the stock market every single day here on this channel, and at the same exact time, I cover bullish and bearish scenarios in every single video, and then I give the most probable scenario. That's how every single video goes. At the very beginning of the video, we talk about these most probable scenarios on SPY and QQQ. That is why there's usually an upside level that's blue, and there will be a downside level that's blue, because you have the upside trigger and you have the downside trigger. I told you don't get bullish on this until it breaks the 0.786. If you can get above the 0.786 there, it's probably going straight back up to all-time highs. All right, that's exactly what we mentioned in yesterday's video. People still want to say I'm a flip-flopper and stuff. Guys, I call the shots extremely well and put a ton of work into this, and it's extremely disrespectful to hear scumbags like that in my comment section saying we don't do such a thing. We do a perfect job here. Maybe it's not perfect every time, but it's a damn good job. All right, on the downside, you had a trigger. Okay, you didn't get anywhere close to the trigger today, but you're coming close to it right now. Now, I will just show you guys how easy, this was. Coming into the day, guys, you had a 15-minute bearish divergence going on the 15-minute RSI. All right, you could see that right there. Just like, we had these divergences at some point. We're probably going to get that snap back. Again, we knew ahead of time it was very likely going to be that dead cat bounce that would be sold later on. Perfect spot to do so. Golden pocket, baby. Perfect freaking spot. Also where you broke down from a 566.53 break and retest. Guys, it's picture perfect sometimes. It's not going to be perfect every time, but sometimes it is. All right. And then from there, what happened, guys? You end up taking out the pre-market low. All right. Oh, what happened underneath the pre-market low? You ended up, you had a straight 4-point sell right down to 560.80 support. All right. I'm just going to say, guys, it's pretty simple. You don't have to have a terrible time. sometimes things are that easy. You know, the cloud over here, 15-minute time frame, 15-minute cloud, it's red. You start breaking pre-market low. We're in an environment right now where there's volatility. On these previous times, we've had that exact same thing going on here. Okay, you broke it over here. What happened? Okay, you ended up having a 6-point sell. You broke it over here. Oh, what happened? You ended up selling down 6 points as well. When there's volatility in the market right now, this is a strategy that you can take to the bank every single day. Sometimes you are going to get fake outs, but I'll tell you, you're consolidating bullishly right underneath pre-market high right here above the 15-minute 21 EMA while the cloud is green. You know, honestly, it again doesn't get any easier than this. Sometimes it's picture perfect. All right, you did end up going straight up to, you know, 560.80 as well yesterday, key spot, and then you went right past it. Okay. You know, real talk, sometimes it is that easy. You don't have to make things all complicated, okay? But that's how today ended up going. We came right back down. We spent the whole day right around 560.80, and now I'm going to just show you the 4-hour time frame, guys. You know, I got a trigger level for, you know, downside just continuing, and it is going to be yesterday's low right at 558.95. It's looking like we're probably going to be open underneath that tomorrow. I would say QQ showing more weakness than SPY here, but it's kind of giving us a hint that, yeah, we are probably going to be coming down. Now, on top of that, we also discussed in yesterday's video, you had an invalidation over here on VIX for the bear thesis, for the dead cat bounce thesis. If you took out the daily 21 EMA, that's your warning side. You flip this this green cloud right here on the daily time frame, you get underneath 1628, that flips red with a break under 1628, boom. Thesis out the freaking window. We're going back to all-time highs. People want to act like we don't call the shots. We call the shots, both sides, every single video, and people just either want to come and see the thumbnail that, you know, half of you guys aren't going to click on the video if I ain't got these thumbnails. All right, they want to just look at that and they want to just argue with Henry in the comments and say, Henry, you're a piece of shit. All right, well, newsflash, guys. I actually put in a crap ton of time here, and you have bearish and bullish scenarios. So if you will just give me the time of day, I promise I won't disappoint. Every single video, you have a bearish and bullish scenario to go off of, and more times than not, it plays out not picture perfect, but very close to picture perfect. More often than not. Some days it's picture perfect. If you do want to have a good time every single day, and, you know, in the market here, in this frustrating market that's, you know, going back and forth, I'll give you a game plan every single morning. That link will be down below. You can come trade with me. I'll be live every day. But, you know, doesn't really matter what the market environment is. We have all intention of killing it. And, you know, that's how, if you want to trade SPY and QQ every day, I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be crazy complicated. But I'm telling you right now, we are probably going to be seeing for the downside. We're going to have some more volatility coming into the market. And, yeah, you know what? We are probably going to begin another move down tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to begin that gap down. We'll approach it, you know, tomorrow pre-market. But I'll give you the levels right now for the downside, and it's just going to be yesterday's lows. Okay, so today we had a pretty big sell right from the golden pocket there in SPY and QQQ, and we're coming back down to that daily 21, guys. I'm telling you, we could trigger a larger sell. We're going to flip that, you know, daily cloud red over there, and, you know, that's just a time when you will start having frustrating price action in the market. You will start selling. Okay, and it's not going to be the buy the dip environment that you're used to. Okay, that is something that can happen if we come down and take out those lows. If you take out over here on SPY 625.58, you very likely are coming back down and taking out those lows. Maybe it takes some time. Maybe we don't do it this week, but it probably will happen early next week. All right, so let's go over the downside levels on SPY here. Okay, underneath 627.04, we're talking 625.58. Underneath there, 621.53. We'll come over to the daily time frame. 621.53, 619.29, 617.87. Underneath there, 613.23, guys, previous all-time high, and that's ultimately the target. My target for this sell. All right, and guess what? Yes, we were looking for a big sell to start up. Pump and dump coming into last week. People want to call me a perma bull. I say screw those people. I'm a killer on the charts. I stand by it. Take pride in what I do. And there's that. Okay. On the upside, you have 630.32. This is a little high we put in today. Okay. Above 630.32, we're talking 632.61. If we do get back up the SSI, let's say we gap up here, 629, 630, we take out 632.61, guys. I don't care about this 0.786 fib. I think we're going to just bust right past it and go up to all-time highs from that point. And somehow oh, these guys made a big recovery and we're probably going higher into next week. Okay. But that you have a ways to go at this point. You kind of just have a big fat ugly red candlestick on the day here. Now you got to get back up to the highs for that to be the case. As long as that is not the case, bounces are shorting opportunities. Sell the rips mode. That's really the mode we're in. Okay. This thing looks like on the higher time frames, 1 hour, 4 hour daily, it looks like it's probably going to continue lower. Okay. So yeah, if you do take out 625.58 yesterday's low here in SPY, timber, we're going down, we're going timber. Get your life jackets. We got to jump into the water because we're going overboard. Okay. That's SPY. Coming over here to QQQ. Very similar thing going on over here. So on the upside, you got to get above 566.53, and then you could start getting bullish again, okay? If you really want to confirm it, get above 570, and then you're probably going up to all-time highs 574.63 shortly after that, probably next week. But to me, 4-hour chart says, yeah, we're probably going to be continuing lower. I talk about these things, and you guys can use it. It's just an indicator right over here. EMA Cloud 150/250. Go search it up. And then you can, I'll give you the exact sentence right here if you really want. All right, you got it right here. Right there, 5921. That's what creates our cloud over here. And, on newsflash, the cloud is 21 EMA, 5 EMA, and 9 EMA. But, really, you guys could see it avoided the cross right there and then. But I watched the 21 EMA. You're about to take it out again on the daily time frame, as well as the 4-hour. You're already back underneath it. I think it's pretty safe to say that was a dead cat bounce, until proven otherwise at this point, which is going to be a break above 566.53. Okay, so just look for the downside, guys. There's that. I gave you guys a strategy at the beginning of this video that you guys can take the bank more times than not. Sometimes there are fake outs, but when there is a volatility in the market, when volatility is being made great again by Mr. VIX over there, yeah, more often than not, you break the pre-market low. Okay, you have that 50-minute cloud bearish over there. You can literally, you can look for the short on the market there. You can even use that 50-minute 21 EMA as your stop if you'd like. But yeah, it's something that typically does bring those decent sized moves there. You can get your work for the day done right there around market open. Okay. That's that. Later in the day, you normally slow things down a bit, okay? And then maybe there's an end of day move, and that's pretty much what we did end up having today. You slowed things out, you reverted to the mean, but again, guys, the cloud did not flip back to green, so you're just not looking for longs until that becomes the case. You had a shot over there on SPY and QQ bulls. They didn't take it. They really tried it. It was about to happen, then boom, they slammed me back down. And a lot of times that is what happens. Okay, it's right when they're about to do it, boom, that's when they slam me back down, and that's when boom, reversion to the mean bounce is over. You're going back down. You're going timber. Okay, but that's the indices over here, guys. All you have to concern yourself with on QQQ underneath 558.95, we're talking 557.20, 554.34, 551.56, 549.58, 544.66, and 540.81. All right. We'll check out VIX over here. I'm just going to say IWM, for some reason, was showing the strength against the others today. That is the thing. VIX, it found buyers right above the daily 21 EMA, guys. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. All right. It doesn't look all that bad over here. Still has a chance to get back up to the highs. If it does come back up to 1880, it's probably going to take out 19.5. And then, yeah, we might start approaching these highs again, guys. VIX might... it might do what we were saying. It has a larger setup here to do. This thing is just a break and retest off the daily cloud, but it got a bit of extended over here, and typically it likes to pull back, or it continues for a few sessions. It's going to go something like that. It's going to do some crazy shit, and then boom, within 2-3 sessions, it's done with. It's going to pull back, and we have room for more downside, or we're going to have further downside right away, more aggressive selling on the indices in the broad market, and then boom, within 2-3 days, we probably would have had a bottom, or at least, a short-term bottom where we'd get a bounce, and then boom, price goes back down on the indices. VIX does not make a new high. We have that divergence there, and then boom, bop, bing, boop, pow. There's your bottom, all right, within 1 to 1.5 weeks. We didn't get that case. Now we have room for more downside because VIX decided to pull back like this and revert to the mean, 21 EMA. All right, so that's VIX. You come over here to IWM, and yeah, you know what? I can't explain it. You had a much better close over here than SPY and QQQ. I can't. You just steady recovering all day. DIA also doesn't look as bad as SPY and QQ. There's that, but I'm just gonna say SPY and like QQQ specifically. Just look at what it's doing. It's a rolling. We got a roller on our hands. We got a roller. Okay, so those are the indices, guys. We're gonna come over here to the Mag 7 stocks, and I'm gonna point out the ones I like. Same ones as yesterday. I'm just gonna newsflash, spoiler alert. Same exact tickers we talked about yesterday. Google and Meta. Those are the only two that I really like. I do have some trade ideas at the end of the video just for you. Some of the things we mentioned yesterday, hashtag Oklo and APLD, are starting to go moonland today. All right, so they are starting to make their moves there. Well, at least Oklo, it did it all at once. But yeah, APLD is starting. We'll talk about those in a little bit. I got a few more for you too. But GOOG over here, Google, it's the only Mag 7 stock that I'm really interested right now. This thing looks like even this week, it might get above here. Okay, either it gets slammed from right here, and we do get what I talked about in yesterday's video. This is what we want to focus on this dip here. Okay, or it's not going to do that. You're going to break above this by end of week, maybe next week, but probably end of week. This is a 3-week range at this point. You guys can see what I'm seeing. This, looks like it's probably going to break it, or you reject here pretty hard this week and get your actual pullback with the rest of the market. We don't know, but I'm telling you, 198.16. If one of these days, let's just say we do gap up here tomorrow, 197, probably not with what the market's doing, but let's just say we do 197. You take out 198.16. You get above today's high, 198.70. Yeah, this thing's probably going to start its way back up to all-time highs, and yeah, maybe we have ourselves a really green close to the week. But yeah, it's getting pretty tight up here. It's either rejecting here with the triple top, which we know we're going to come back to at some point, because that's what equal highs and equal lows like to do. Equal lows right here, equals highs right here. What happens? You keep coming back to them. So yeah, it's either that or and we get that, and it's a nice green close to the week over here. Next week we go to all-time highs. That would probably be what happens. All right, so that's Google. Now let's come over here to Meta, guys. I'm just saying, this is this and GOOG. These are the only two Mag 7 stocks that I'm really interested in up here. Again, with these equal highs, guys. Okay, you came up. You almost tested 784.75 today. You got a high of 783.13 here. It's now pulling back. We know the pullback's going to be bought. We just don't know when that's going to happen. Okay, but I'll tell you, you haven't tested that 5 EMA here since you start moving up. It's been 4 sessions. I think we just might do it tomorrow. We'll see if we find buyers off of it. But yeah, this is definitely something that is very likely going to be taken out this high. So this dip should be treated as a buying opportunity over here on Meta. I do not think it's going to have this crazy fade with the rest of the market. Maybe it does continue pulling back if the market wants to sell into end of week. Maybe it's to start off next week. This thing gets 737.53 to 747.90. But I do think that's going to present the break and retest buying opportunity right here. The break and retest. I'll just mark it out with a zone so it's crystal clear to everyone. This is your buy zone. All right, you got the daily 21 EMA that's going to be right underneath. All right, this is your loading zone, we'll call it, okay? And then you're probably pushing up 78475, 800, 820, 850. Meta, it's probably on its way to do big things. Probably is. They established themselves. There's a reason the stock went up like this, okay? Regardless, this is really the only thing that's showing crazy strength other than it's GOOG, but this is definitely the leader right there. All right, that's Meta. Coming over here, Nvidia. Now, this actually is the leader of the free world right here, okay? Nvidia. Whatever this guy says, the market wants to do whatever it says. I can't tell you why. It wants to. That's how things work. All right, and I'll tell you right now, this thing's just consolidating. You don't know which way it's going to go. You found buyers right where they needed to step in today. But just like QQ, it's looking a bit heavy. Not as heavy, but it's definitely looking like it might start rolling over here. We'll see how we open tomorrow. But either you're going to gap down here, come a little lower here, find buyers, print some doji or bullish candlestick right here, and then pivot up off of that. Or you are going to lose this area, and it's going to be really aggressive. And you have this really really wonky. By that I mean really bearish look to you over here, and boom, all of a sudden this thing is like 165 by end of week. We have 3 sessions left in the week, guys. Anything can happen here. Again, if you do take out 183.30, last week's high, I imagine this thing's just going up to 190. So that's also a scenario here that can happen. But I'll remind everyone, the heck is this thing doing over here? QQ wants to play a little runaway action. Yeah, you know, things are looking not the best if this is going to be how it's going, okay? Again, most probable scenario, dead cat bounce. This is kind of telling us, all right, yeah, they're selling the rip. It's exactly what we said was going to be the most probable scenario. Why? Because anybody who got trapped up here, you just pulled back to it. They just, you know, saw the big sell happen that they didn't see coming, and then it pulled back to that exact price where they got trapped from. Who in the right mind's not just going to take it off there? Let's be real about it. Okay, that's why that's going on. There's supply, overhead supply that we created with this freaking dump. Okay, that's why you had the exact reaction off that level today. And as long as that's the case, and there is that overhead supply there, I can't imagine these tech stocks do good. I know Google's not looking bad. Meta, I think, is going to do better than the others. But I don't know. They also can get those bearish scenarios I was talking about, where we do see a prolonged pullback that maybe takes a week, week and a half there, maybe 2 weeks. But again, weekly chart correction. We know we're not getting another massive, you know, Donald Trump manufactured crash over here. Yeah, these normally just last 1 to 2 weeks, but worst case scenario, you just get like, you know, 4 weeks of downside, and then on that 4th week, we're going to have a bottom. And look over here, it was actually 3 weeks, and then on Monday, you bottomed, okay? That's the worst case scenario. We're already 2 weeks into that. I don't think we're going to be correcting much longer here. I'm going to be completely honest there. So that's where my mind is at. Come back to all-time highs. It's a buy the dip opportunity until proven otherwise, which is probably not going to be proven otherwise. That's where you want to be putting risk back on. Right now is where you want to be putting risk off, or going risk off when this looks like this. All right, so there's that. And if you are uncomfortable playing puts, that's QQQ starting to heat up over here. Break above 19 tomorrow. It's probably coming back down, or up in this case, to 1967. And then I do think we will have a quick move up to 2033, guys. If that's going to be the case, this is triple leverage QQQ. If that's going to be the case, this is going to have an 8% move up. QQ is going down 1.5%. Is my math right there? No, 2.5%. Yeah, 2.5%. And that would be the equivalent of QQQ. Coming down to 545. Am I saying that happens tomorrow? No. Am I saying it happens at the end of the week? Also, no. It can, but no. Probably not going to happen all one day or even 2 days. But I do think we saw the start of an aggressive sell there. We know what they could do. If they're ready to really correct the market, or we want to get back down there, that could be rather aggressive. So just watch out. But like I said, I gave you a strategy. If you want to trade intraday price action, you get the opportunity most days right off the open. Earlier on in the video, go back and watch if you want. All right, so there's that. Yeah, Nvidia, guys, it probably is, if the market sells, this thing's going to sell. Underneath 176.54, you have 174.25, 170.89. That's where you have the daily 21. That triggers the next, you know, leg down in that sell. Okay, which from that point, you have 167.89, 164.58, 158.71. Microsoft, all right, pretty ugly over there. You did not get above this high over there on the 4-hour chart. But yeah, you know, probably same scenario as Meta. It's probably going to hold up better than most, considering these were the two at all-time highs when this pullback really started. And yeah, you know, it's probably going to consolidate around 518.29. Expect buyers there. If that does not hold up, you're watching 509.44. You want to hold there, because if not, you're starting that larger sell, and the next spot is going to be 576. Amazon starting to make a comeback today, but like we were talking about, don't expect anything crazy over here. It's now underneath the 21 EMA. You've been held up for quite, let's look at it this way. This cloud flipped red all the way at the top. It flipped green at the, you know, after this base breakout like QQQ and stuff. Now it's flipping red. You might as well just wait. All right. You might as well just wait. You don't have to don't have to have such a hard time right now. I pointed out in the weekly update that this is giving the same vibes as this. All right. And if that's going to be the case, even if it's not going to be the case, just wait for it not to be the case. Wait for it to prove itself. It's not proving anything right now. All right. The thing has to really, really has to get back above 224, 225 to make this thing turn back around. And at that point, you've recovered most of the sell. You might as well wait for a base to build out here, or it's going to continue falling. You're going to have the daily RSI get oversold. Regardless, we'll know ahead of time when this thing is turned around, and it's not close to doing so yet. That's Amazon. Apple, we already talked about it. It looks like dog crap. Don't touch it until, don't touch it long until it gets over 216.23. Once that happens, boom, bop, bing, boom, pow. You probably are starting to move up. But until that happens, the thing's going to move like crap, and it's going to move down. And 201.50, that is the level to watch. Break that. That's 2 days of lows right there. Break under 201.50, probably coming down to 199.26. Probably very quick there, maybe within the hour. And then under there, you have 195.07, then 189.81. Tesla over here, guys, it's still doing a whole lot of nothing above 312.45. You're going to have the 21 EMA. I still say just wait for the larger breakout, or break down. 288.77, 338. All right, so those are the Mag 7 stocks, guys. Now I'm going to talk about some things that I think are going to be making these moves. We talked about a few of these yesterday and in the weekly update, and some of them are starting to make their moves today. All right, over here on Oracle, guys, the last 4 times, yes, you heard that correctly, 4 times over the past, what is this, month and a half? 2 months, okay? 4 times in 2 months, you've gotten these breakouts here. You've had a 9 to 10 point move that same day. That's one. Nope. There we go. There's one. There's 2. There's 3. There's a 4. We might be about to get a 5. I don't know if it's going to break up here in the short term, but the 4-hour looks a lot more bullish there than what QQ's got going on there. I think this thing might be giving us a breakout here. Now, here's the thing. Here's the catch, guys. 2 of these occurrences came with the sweep. All right, you had the sweep of the high there. You pulled back for 2 sessions, and then you had a big gap up over here. All right, and then over here, I was actually in it for that. You swept the high, and you pulled back, okay, for 1 session. And then, boom, you had your big gap up, and you had a big day, okay? If that is a possibility, so just keep that in mind. If you want to play weeklies on this, you can, but just realize that is the possibility there, and it's completely on you if that does happen. You know the odds are that it can do it. All right, 2 out of 4 times it happened. That's half. That's 50% odds it might do it. Okay, so just keep that in mind when taking this. Doesn't mean if it sweeps that height, doesn't mean it's not going to be going above there. It probably will get above there. Just give it, another few days. Again, 2 days, 1 to 2 sessions is what these took the last 2 times. And yeah, you're probably going to make yourself a big move above 260.87. We're talking 270. All right, that's Oracle. APLD.
It's easy.
Hey, there we go. All right, we had weeklies going 200% today, and I told you guys about this one I may have done it in the weekly update, but I definitely did it in yesterday's video. This thing looks like it's about to make a big move, guys. Above 1542, this starts the fire. APLD started the fire. All right, but 1542, we have nothing until 1968. Do I think it goes straight there? No. But what I will say, I think is a safe bet here is that we do get 2 to 3 points above 1542, at least on that breakout. Maybe it turns into something larger. But, when we broke out from over here, okay, you had a 3-point move. Now, here's the thing. You have an inverse head and shoulders pattern going on here, or a cup and handle pattern. Regardless, you built out structure. So it's not the same as over here when you only went 2 to 3 points above. It's different, okay? You got the pull back out of the way. I like when things do this, okay? I really do. Now, in the short term, it didn't do that. It still decided to go. You didn't. Actually, you did do a little of what I'm talking about. I like when it builds out structure right around that breakout spot. Well, this thing has built out a whole crap ton of structure over here over the past few, 3 months? Since June, 2 months there? All right. Yeah, that's what we ended up nailing. I think it was 400% over here. That was right when I went to Greece. That was good times, good times. And guess what? It's back. Okay, it wanted to cool off. It didn't want to do anything. It was dead until it's not. You know, you're going to hear me talk like that about some stocks, guys. You know, when I'm mentioning things and then I stop mentioning it, it's probably because the stock is not moving right now. I'm just going to mention it when it starts moving again. Telling you, APLD, I mentioned it yesterday. Got a decent sized move today. Not all that big. Only moved up 0.7%. But it is likely going to start a larger move here in the short term. And I think it might be tomorrow above 1542. So put it on that radar. But congratulations.
That was easy.
If you already got 100, 200% out of the trade today. The thing is moving and grooving. Next one, RKT, very similar setup over here. And I will just say, again, it's that concept of we built out structure. We had this breakout, the false breakout, boom. You had the pullback there, and yeah, buyers treated it as a buy the dip opportunity before they broke it out further. This thing's breaking out with volume. I like it, and I think we might just get up to 1979 here in the short term. It is possible it pulls back. Pullbacks are going to be buying opportunities. I personally just got to, I mean, I'm also sizing down this market, but, I put in half there. And if we do end up pulling back, returning to the scene of the crime, 1732, that is where I want to be starting to put that on, the other portion of that. But yeah, I do think this thing is probably going to be doing good things. I like September calls over here. I like September calls on QBTS, on RKT, on APLD. And I think you're going to have a good time, okay? Now, speak of the devil, yes, it started moving again today. It actually was moving here in the after hours, and it seems to have faded most of the move there. Regardless, 4-hour cloud just flipped back to bullish. You have earnings in a few sessions. The last time that happened, you danced around it for 1 to 2 sessions. You had this big boy move. You the time before that, you danced around it. You did not get a big boy move over there. Oh, actually, you had that go on. You had that go on. So yeah, last 2 times, that is what brought your move. Regardless, I think we do have a higher time frame setup going on here. And guess what? Price almost returned back up to these highs today. I know you ended up fading it by end of day, 1830 you had at the close, but you had 1920 just about at the high, 1917. This thing wants to move, guys. We have earnings, not tomorrow before the bell, but on Thursday before the bell, and I have a feeling it's probably going to get a gap up with that. And our big move starts around that, above 2056, 25 plus incoming. Oaklow, another one. Another 100, 200% pulled off right off the open over here on Oaklow, guys. Congrats if you ended up taking that. We talked about this in yesterday's video. This is the one I told you guys, SMR. That's the move post earnings on Friday. We're looking for a 15% move. I think a 3 to 4x is possible on weeklies on SMR come Friday, depending what those premiums are open up at. Regardless, I think a clean 100, 200% is possible no matter what expiration on SMR. On that 15% move, just got to wait until Friday post earnings. That's what's done 6 out of 6 times. But the one we said in yesterday's video to be focusing on in the short term that I'm going to be personally playing. Why? Because we don't have these juiced up premiums, so we could play weeklies over here. I was pretty sure we were going to begin this move. If we get above 80.42, probably going to be moving 85 to 87 all one day. Guys,
It's easy.
damn straight it was, okay? Above 85.20, guys, we are just going to go to that upper target there at 87. But I do think 90 plus might be on the table here. This thing just creeped above this previous red candlestick here. We just got the breakout. Call it a break and retest there. Again, I like when we build out structure like this. This thing was sexy. This thing was picture perfect. This thing was the woman in the red dress today, and it was calling my name. And yeah, regardless, we're moving and grooving here. I think 90 plus is coming over here on Oaklow, but congrats if you end up taking that one. There's that. MCD does MCD does report earnings tomorrow morning before the bell. We're going to see if it gets any movement here. If we do, perk our way up, back up to these highs, maybe we get a gap up here and then take out these highs, take out 305, get above 305. I think we are probably going to be starting a larger move to the upside here on MCD. It is also possible that you tank right here off of the 21 EMA here on the weekly time frame. That is also a scenario. So we will wait and see, but I think we're going to get some movement out of MCD tomorrow into the end of the week. And that's when premiums are going to be crushed. GS, This is one that I think is probably going to end up getting bought back up to highs. So it might be showing some more strength than others, but it has this weekly base going on here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, guys. That's a month and a half going on. We just pushed up the new highs. It can pull back. This is something I'm going to personally focus on. If we do get this sell, if we sell underneath the range 691.30, we're going to be watching around 660, 670. But I do think it's more likely going to break out. And if it can get above 737.88, I think we might start a bigger move like we have seen in the past come from some of these consolidations. So that is what I'm watching for. It could, just consolidate and break and retest around the upper edge of this, around 740, 735, and then start really going. But this is one that I'm going to be focused on. ANF, guys, it started moving and grooving yesterday. It continued moving and grooving today above 175. This thing's probably going 105 real quick. I think it does it this week. We pushed right back up to last week's high. Typically, we will go at least a few points above those highs. That is probably going to be the case this time around. Okay. But I think this is one that we can focus on over the coming weeks. It's going to be, no matter what the market wants to do, I think it is going to be showing its own kind of strength, moving on its own time. That's ANF. Hood over here, guys, it will probably need cooperation from the market. So I'm just going to have that disclosure there. If QQ gets what I'm talking about, chances are the setup's not going to go. Okay. I just want to, get that out up front. But in case the market doesn't want to crap the bed and we do want to see some cool things over here on Hood, guys, above 109.06, we're talking 113.44 and then 115 plus. It's probably coming by end of week. All right. Either way, this weekly chart, it's not looking all that bad. And the weekly candle this week, all right, is it might be showing a change of character if we could break above last week's high at 109.06. And at that point, I do think we're going to have our next little leg up here. And it might even keep going for another couple weeks. Okay. Maybe get a big move up to 120 plus this week. We'll see about it. We will see. APP tomorrow. All right. Follow me on the Twitter. Link is down below. If you're not already on there, you should go follow. If you find value in these videos, I promise, I guarantee it, you're going to find value in the Twitter. Okay, so just go over there. I will share trade ideas every single day. I will share some of these charts. Honestly, we talk of some of these charts come from the videos over here. All right, but it is nice. Okay, I promise you're gonna have a good time over there. I would also just appreciate the support. I'll be putting a lot of time into that every day, but 1 to 2 hours. Trying to provide value over there. So go check that out. All right. But APP, last 11 earnings reports, guys, we ended up, we saw a minimum of I think it was 11.8% move or a 13% move. It was one or the other, but you can go check that on the Twitter. I don't have it right in front of me. I took it off this chart. Regardless, that's what we're still going to be looking for over here. The move is to add it right before earnings and catch that at least, 11, 12 or 13% move, regardless around that. If you're playing it with options, I personally want to, I want to do it safer. Okay. I think the move here, no matter what, if you want to just catch that, they are going to be pricing a larger move there. Okay. But if you have, a contract that is in the money or it moves into the money, it is less likely to experience that IV crush. If it's out the money, it will experience more of that IV crush. There is that. Okay. Or you can just take the other route, which is just add more time. Okay. I like the 919 500C. I like the 815 450C. But those are the ones that I think are going to perform here. I think the 919s are definitely the safer ones, or you could also just trade commons. Regardless, I think we are going to at least be seeing that 12 to 13% move, and I want to take advantage of that. But I think it's possible. Here's where I really want it. I really want to be in this because I do think it's possible to have one of these outsized moves. This weekly chart looks insane. I've been calling out this APP chart since right here. Okay, maybe since right here. But then the cloud flipped, and then I knew we were probably going to start moving. Then it gave you the little fake out. And now I think it's about to give me the move I really was looking for, back up to 430 plus off of earnings here. And I think we're probably going to be going higher. I think we just might be going 450 to 480 over here on APP. So put it on the radar. Just understand it is an earnings bet. I did the stats on the earnings bet for you. Go check out the Twitter for it. But 11 out of 11 earnings. You had moves ranging from 48%, I think, at the highs, maybe over 50%, down to 12 to 13%. So then that was the smallest move out of 13 earnings reports. So all to the upside. Or not 13, 11 earnings reports. If you want to take 13 to 14 earnings reports, only one of those were red, but the previous 11 ones were green moves here on the stock, and they were a low of 12 to 13%. So likely going to do it again. VST pulled back to the scene of crime today, right up against 207.12. That was your low of day today. I do think this is probably going to continue getting bought up into earnings, and I think it's probably going to be making a move off of earnings. One to keep on the radar. VST. A-Lab. The old A-Lab. Old Ahab A-Lab. Okay? Started moving. New all-time high. After hours. Not telling anybody to chase it here, but I will definitely be paying attention to this one. It's probably going to have a similar movement to this, where we continue seeing these pullbacks here. We just look up back here how this exactly went out. Oh, boom, you have this big move up. This could be us right now off of earnings. You consolidate for 2 weeks, 1.5, 2 weeks, and then boom, you keep pushing up. You know, this is a decent sized move, 20+% move. We can catch that, okay? Regardless, dips are going to be buying opportunities over here now that you are at new all-time highs. We're in price discovery mode, and they can take, again, 1 to 2 weeks to play out for those dips, but we're going to keep them on the radar. So it's going to be a ticker that you're going to get used to seeing here, because we might be calling it out 1 or 2 times over the coming weeks. Wing. All right, Wing is back down to the daily 21 EMA. I'm just saying, if it's going to get bought up, it's going to get bought up right here. The thesis is still valid, but, you know, let's look at it this way. We don't want to really go much lower than that. If we take out the daily 21, we're probably, you know, bull cases, we probably just stay consolidating here in this range. And we're not moving up yet, but ideally we wanted to print a small weekly candle here. We wanted to take out 388.14 next week, and we wanted to push up to 433.86. But I don't know if that's going to be the case just yet. So just an update there. All right, guys, and that's what I got for you guys today. We did end up seeing a massive HIM squeeze right there off of the open, but it gave back the whole entire move. I would personally not be touching HIMs. That was a big mover today. But yeah, I don't think bulls could step in to save the day, but I think we might take a few weeks here just putting in a right shoulder, because that's what the left shoulder was looking like. And yeah, I still think we're probably going to be moving up as long as we don't take out the 21 EMA. But if you take out the 21 EMA and this weekly cloud ends up flipping bearish, it flips red. Yeah, I'm not going to be looking for upside. But until then, guys, we do have this big weekly base still going on, and we're just trading in it. So, you know, it's nothing to be, you know, longer term bearish about over here. I know we sold, you know, for now. We're probably not going to take out this area. Probably will just continue chopping it up in this, you know, 50 up to 65 area. You know, that's what I'm going to be expecting over the coming weeks, but definitely will be on the radar. Last one I got for you is Uber, guys. It was starting to push up against that trend line today. It didn't get the daily close above, but we do have earnings tomorrow after the bell, after the close. It's right against the upper trend line of this parallel descending channel. I'm interested after earnings. Ideally, it crushes premiums here and we don't really move, and then I can play the setup for what it actually is, okay? But yeah, we pulled back to the weekly 21 EMA just like we did over here, and until proven otherwise, I think we're probably going to get bought up. We didn't get a crazy impulsive move past highs, all right? But notice a little pattern here, okay? You had one push, you pulled back, you had the other push. When you pull back that second time, then you made the really big boy push, okay? You have one push. You have second push, not all that much. We're right here, okay? And then you pull back. I know it doesn't look exactly the same. I'm just talking about it. It could be going just like that, okay? We could have that third wave of upside here. And I think weekly and daily charts, as long as earnings doesn't make this thing come all the way back underneath 85, yeah, I think it is probably going to be doing some good things. We'll keep it on the radar. All right, guys. With that being said, I will catch you all in the next one. DKNG also has earnings after the bell tomorrow, so that's one we're going to be paying attention to. I think the weekly and daily look like it might be about to erupt, so we're going to pay attention to it. Bitcoin, guys, I wouldn't be touching that. It had a break and retest off that where it broke down from. It's actually just like QQ today, but break and retest off of 115.7K. All right, the high over here, 115.732. Our level was 115.729, guys. If you struggle putting on these levels so you can track price action accurately intraday on whatever ticker you're talking, okay, just steal my levels. I give them to you absolutely free over here in these YouTube videos. They're free every single day, well, 5 days a week there. and you can take these things to the bank. Okay. If you want, more help, again, link is down below. Regardless, I provide a game plan every single day with several option trades for you to take, as well as the game plans for SPY QQ. And then I do my best to trade those intraday with you guys live in the Discord. All right. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please just remember to leave a like. That's all I ask in these videos. I do put a lot of time into this. You guys could see it's a 45-minute video. We kind of just talked about everything there really is to talk about here. The hot stocks there is. How the Mag 7 stocks are probably going to be moving. The most probable scenarios, as well as the triggers for bullish and bearish scenarios on SPY and QQ. There's really nothing that we didn't really cover here. I know there's some individual tickers maybe you want me to cover, but I did put all of these stocks that are really going to be moving on your radar. And I don't like playing downside all that much, but I also did give you guys a bearish trade idea coming into this week / the end of last week, which was crowd. All right, 455.59. You're playing for further downside. Daily RSI is probably going to get oversold. All right, guess what? You got the picture perfect break and retest over here. Okay, so we did talk about pretty much everything there is to talk about. We'll just briefly sum everything up over here, guys. Expect the further downside on QQ until you break above 566.53. Expect the further downside on SPY until you could break above 632.61. I don't care if it's dancing around 630. I don't think it's a wise idea to be long in it. I think you might as well just wait until you break above 632.61, today's high, and then boom, bop, bing, boom, pow. Oh, you waited 2 extra points. Oh no, you lost on it so much money. But guess what? Then it's like moving back up the highs and you have a good time. If you take out 625.58 on the downside over here, we're probably going to be continuing. These things are going to be rolling over. Probably going to continue moving to the downside or at least consolidate. It's not something to be bullish on. Just wait. Don't jump the gun on longs. Just wait. Okay, dead cat bounce. So far, it is how this is going. We're probably going to be continuing down. Just wait and see what happens. We're going to get one of those 2 scenarios I just mentioned. Just wait. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll catch y'all. Love y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.